buckle your seatbelts because this episode holds a ton of power. Sarah Ashley Wheeler is an inspiration for anyone who wants to own their energy and fully own every part of their magical selves openly in the world. In this episode, Sarah shares with us her story of stepping into her work, talks about why we wear the masks we do, and the power in being the courageous one to take it off first. She also walks us through an incredible exercise that shows you how to tap in and shift your energy quickly. And now, my conversation with Sarah Ashley Wheeler, the Energy Queen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired Focus Podcast. I am so unbelievably grateful for this human in my life, and I cannot wait to share her with all of you. We have become very fast kindred soulmates, like within a 6-month period, and have had the opportunity to already work together side by side, helping some incredible women. So I have witnessed her magic. And her magic is one of the things I want you guys to hear about today and learn about the journey to fully stepping into it. So welcome to Sarah Ashley Wheeler. She is so incredible, the Energy Queen. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Receiving that intro. That was beautiful.
Well, I could go on for so long because I have gotten to witness how much your just presence influences people stepping into their full power. And that is something I value so much. And I couldn't wait to have this conversation. I know it's not going to be our only one because we want to try and do one in person since we are both in Colorado. But today I wanted to just introduce you to the people in my world, because I think while we together are such a great duo when we get to work on things together, we have very different worlds, and I've gotten to witness what people experience when they get to be around you for the first time. And it's so amazing. Let's just start with, what was the time frame that you decided, okay, I'm going to own this? Like, I have something so incredible to give to the world and I'm going to own it. Because one of the things that I heard over and over, you heard over at our retreat in Aspen, is that you are so inspiring because you just own your gifts so openly. And for those that are looking to step into their path of purpose, I think the journey to get there is powerful.
Yeah, I remember the day I was 23. I had my first energy session with Amanda is her name. She's so beautiful and amazing. And I was like, there was this moment where I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm a 23-year-old. I have these gifts, these abilities, and I wasn't owning it. I wasn't owning myself. I was at corporate America at the time. And I looked at myself in this mirror, and I remember just meditating before my session with her. I was so nervous. I mean, first time I ever had like a psychic / intuitive / energetic type of reading and vibe. And I was so nervous. But what I remember about the nervousness was it was actually the energy that was being brought up that was shown to me, which was like people pleasing and anxiety. And I didn't quite understand. I'm like, why am I so nervous? Like my hands are shaking, and it was just over the phone. So I look at myself in this mirror and I go, Sarah Ashley, my intention is I just want to know you more than anyone else knows you. And I felt like I didn't know myself. So I get on this phone call with Amanda, and she, sees all this energy and this cord between my mom, and she does her vibe and her thing. And as she's doing this, all of that, what felt like anxiety, that energy, that bubble up before the call was being released. And I could feel all of a sudden, we're 5 minutes into the conversation, and she just, it was like, oh my gosh, I haven't felt this for so long. And then the next day I woke up and I looked at myself in the mirror, and my eyes were white, and I just felt like confident. I was just like, what the heck was that? I need more of that in my life. And So I texted her and I said, what were you doing? And she goes, just showing you what you could do for people. And I'm like, oh. And that was my first inclination of someone showing me what I could do, which was beautiful. And so after that session, I just remember it like it was like it was yesterday, even those years ago, because how I felt, the transmission in the physical distinction between before to after was so real, so potent. Now I know why people are so drawn to this work, because it literally changes you inside out. Like what you could do from shifting synopsis in your mind to structures and how you're operating, from what I know now, from what I knew then, like that to me was everything. So when you talk to me about like, how did you know, or how did you begin to own this? I was like, if that's how I can make people feel from a 30-minute session, and I just dove in. I was like, rock on, let's go.
That's so amazing. I love that you just took it full on. And I don't want to talk about this yet. Maybe it'll come up, but I'd love to know where your thoughts are on like your human design and how that correlates to kind of how you operate in that way. Because, you know, I've been diving deeper into that area and we talked a little bit about it. And it's so interesting, but I'm so grateful that you did that, because I got to experience some of that firsthand. And I've had these experiences leading up to making the decision to transition in the way I have. But you and I did work a few different times during my retreat. And it was so amazing to feel. It was like a full body. You just could feel it in your entire body that something was just true for me. Yeah. Whether that was true for someone else, it didn't really matter, because it was real and true for me. Whether that was exploring past lives or connecting to my baby that I'm carrying, there was so many experiences that you helped me walk through to find that power within myself. And that's such a powerful experience. And it was so fast. I mean, that's one of the things you talk a lot about, is that this can happen in, what do you say, 2.5 seconds?
2.5 seconds. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
It's super powerful. Talk about that a little bit. Like the speed at which you can actually change, which is just so hard cognitively in the way our society believes change happens. To like wrap your head around it until you experience it.
So one of the things that I did back in the day, and Amanda is a huge preference for this, but she had said, you have it all inside of you. And I was like, okay. And so what I did is I declared to myself and to my guides and to my spirit, I said, I want to know you. So when I said the invocation of Sarah Ashley, I want to know you more than anyone else knows you in the mirror, what I was saying was, I want to know my spirit for myself. I didn't want someone else to come in and channel information for me and show me how to move energy. I wanted to figure it out for myself. So probably as a generator of that self-mastery piece, definitely was like, I've got to figure this out for myself. So I spent 6 months in my apartment in Dana Point, and I go, no YouTube, no searching, no nothing. And I grabbed a journal, and all of a sudden I started to meditate, and I went into different realities and worlds, and I saw some things, and through the things that I saw, I was like, okay, we've got this. We're going to navigate through this. And I would see, Jesus would come into the room, and then I would start channeling all these goddesses. And I was like, holy crap. And I actually learned from them. Light language started to pop up. And one of the things that they said to me, and I think I said this to you as well, is we are spirit channelers. You and I have this type of energy, which obviously is why we connect so well together, as we've done this for eons, and this diving in this self-love of this inner loving on ourselves for eons and decades. And so when they said to me, Sarah, you are a spirit channeler, here's what I thought. I thought I was just going to channel Archangel Michael and it was going to be great. What I actually recognized through that journey of remembering is I could channel people's spirit. And your spirit is the part of you that lives outside of the box in the matrix. And so when we were diving in, what I was doing was I was telepathically channeling your spirit and downloading your ancient codes and wisdom to you. And that's why you feel it. Because it wasn't me just pulling information from the quantum field. It was me pulling information from you.
Yeah.
So when I say, hey, you can literally shift in 2.5 seconds, channel your spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a feeling of, for those who are listening, because it sounds so crazy I think a lot of the people who are in my world have this deeper calling, right? You have this like a desire, there's something more for you and there's like more wisdom that you're not accessing. And it feels like there's like this wall that's in front of it. And I've had to really work on letting the analytical, logical side of me, like, have her moment and then, like, go to bed for a little while because it doesn't make sense. But at the same time, it feels like you can feel this, like an energy going all the way through your body, like it's waking up, like a tingling sensation. Such an incredible experience. And since our time together, and I'd had these experiences before, I just didn't have like the tool set to, really sit down and do it. I've been able to have some of these other experiences purposely on my own. And this is one of the things I love so much about you, because we, I think, really come from a same belief set of, look for mentorship. If you're going to look for mentorship, that is helping you to connect to your own wisdom, not replicating somebody else's. And this goes for whether you're business or life coaching or tapping into your own spiritual essence and guidance and powers and magic. It doesn't matter. Like, the knowledge is actually within you, that it's what will work for you.
Yeah.
So I know that one of the things you do for women is you host a lot of retreats.
Yes.
A lot of them, which is amazing, in really incredible magnetic places. What is it like for somebody who decides to come to a retreat with Sarah Ashley Wheeler?
I get a blend of everything. So we just wrapped up my 8th Sedona retreat, and it's amazing because some of the women, they say yes and they don't know why they say yes. They just feel that spirit pull, right? And so what's beautiful is just day one, I get you to tap into yourself because I can see the stories, and we dive really in to the stories that you just keep telling on repeat. Actually, you walk in through the door and I go, who are you going to be to hold the energy for 3 to 4 days? And I will follow you. This might be a little bit intimidating, but I'll follow you around, because being in my energy for 24 hours, let alone for 3 or 4 days, I can start to help you deconstruct the things. So that to me is the most transformational thing that I could ever do for you, besides diving into all of the energy things and the activations. And sure, we play with SOs and cards and all these, the tools are awesome. But if I could get you to hold the energy of your power and recognize who you actually are and hold it and see when you drop it, like in the kitchen making dinner, when you want to do this and you're telling the girl next to you, like, hey, this story, and I go, is that serving you? I thought we left that at the door. And they're like, oh crap. That to me is why people have so many shifts after an experience, because I can fine tune your energy on a micro level, which is beautiful.
And that makes it last beyond, because you're recognizing those moments in the moment, so that when you go home, you are able to recognize where you're dropping it versus,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I was in this experience, this transformational experience, and it was so amazing, but I can't tell the difference. Like, I don't know when. And that makes such a massive difference
Yeah.
in the whole entire experience and it lasting, the longevity of it.
Yeah. Well, and most of us have different and many hats. You know, a lot of women in your community are mothers and they have the mother hat and the wife hat and the entrepreneur hat and the sister hat and the daughter hat, right? And all these different hats. But it's like, I don't care what you do on an hour conversation. I care who you actually are for the rest of the 24 hours of the day because I can't be with you.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can do all the journal work and you can feel good in the morning and do your morning routine or whatever you do. But what happens when your spouse comes in or your kid comes in and they're throwing a tantrum? Do you still unplug in those moments? So I care about who you're being and holding that for 24 hours. And then can we go the next day? And can we create metaphors of I get flowers for everyone and we always smell the flowers in the morning and that's the metaphor for connecting into your divine feminine. And when you walk through the doorway, you're going to open up the door for opportunities. And I'm going to make you say these things so that when you go home, you have anchors to step into. So you start to buy yourself flowers and you're like, oh my gosh, the pink roses. Sarah, why do I keep buying you pink roses? I'm like, because that's an anchor to your divine feminine.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful. What a
So
beautiful
those
quote.
shifts are beautiful.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts on the power of allowing yourself to actually fully be yourself in holding that energy.
Mhm.
And where this comes from is the masks that we've been told to put on for so long. And, you know, you had this incredible journey. You learned so many of your gifts at a young age and at an early age, relatively, actually like said, I'm going full bore into this. And so many people, you know, they're in their 30s and their 40s and they're like just realizing that the identity that they've been in for so long is nowhere near who they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so scary to shed that mask, but the power that exists on the other side of it, of allowing yourself to be the person that you might have even held a lot of judgment for, or were so afraid the world was going to judge you, the energy that comes out of that and the beauty and the power, the self-authored power that comes out of that.
Mm-hmm. So I slept with DSO the other day underneath my pillow, which is beautiful. It's a spirit technology. And I started to get these visions and these downloads around why people actually wear masks and that these masks keep you. Like if we're going to an ancient ball and we have to wear those beautiful masks, you know, and we're all dancing with beautiful ball gowns and it's just, I know you because I know your eyes and I know your hair, but there's still this mask. So the reason why people as a defense mechanism and protection put this mask on and we're all kind of hanging out in this ball together and having fun and all these things is because so that we can fit into this box.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a thing that happens where a lot of people come into my world and they go, but I'm afraid of my power. And I go, that's the biggest freaking lie in the world that you could ever say. You're actually not afraid of your power. You're afraid of rendezvousing with all of these people, taking your mask off and being the first person to take your mask off as you dance around. Now, there's an energy that happens and the societal environmental matrix is what I love to call it, instills these fear frequencies, which then turn into like darts in your energetic system that don't allow you to take the mask off until you're faced with knowing yourself in the mirror. Now, what happens if you take that mask off? You actually become the most courageous, bravest person in the ball. And you go, I'm going to love me, and I'm going to start this revolution where I go first. So that's why in my community we call She Leads with Light, because you go first and then the universe will move. But there's a thing that happens when you take that mask off. What then happens is you go into the realm of the unknown. Now, what if the unknown was the most magical place where you were actually so free? Wouldn't more of us want to go over the bridge into the unknown? We would. But there's this energy of, if I go over there and I'm in the unknown with my mask off and this dress off, and maybe I want a shorter dress, and back then it was long, and I want a short dress, and I want my hair down, and I don't want to wear makeup, and I look and I go, but no one's joining me over here. So these masks, we have to look at, wait a minute, why are you even putting the mask on in the first place when your spirit's saying, take it off, you're going to be more free, it's going to be way magical over here. Go first, it's okay. So I don't think we're afraid of our power. I think that there's an energy of leaving all of the people at the ball behind. Mm-hmm. But little do you know that you're going to meet more amazing women, more empowered women over here.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. It hits home so much for me because I literally was having a conversation yesterday about where someone was telling me how courageous they felt I was for walking away from everything that I have built to really follow my calling. And it obviously made me feel really good, but it's because it took a long time to not be afraid of walking away. And there were moments in the void, and I'm fully expecting there still will be, of loneliness, of feeling the sadness of the people that were so close to me not understanding. And those were like in the void, that the fears were true. And for those listening, I'm like air quoting, because like my self-critical mind, the stories around me were telling me it's true, and keep allowing me to stay in a place where I wasn't willing to see my magic. And I want to tell an incidental story to talk about this, because about you and such an amazing story. You know, that would have been so easy to turn around and walk back in those moments. And yet the magnetic pull was so big. And the places I landed, every time I was like about to turn around, I would land at your event where I was speaking, and I never knew you. I just said yes to this woman on the internet who talks about energy and light, and I have no idea who she is. But for some reason, I'm saying yes to show up to this room, and so much magic has come from that. And I'm saying yes to, actually, interestingly, it has continuously been speaking opportunities and things that I did not think I was ready for, that pushed me further, because it was like I'd be in these rooms and I would get this feedback of some level of courage or inspiration or something that I was the first one in the room taking a mask off, even though I wasn't. In your room, I certainly wasn't. In most of the rooms, I wasn't. But for me and my world, I was. Yep. And that was so huge. And the power and the magnetization that has come out of that has been mind-blowing. So amazing. So I'm just going to clarify for everyone here listening. I think if you've listened before, you know that we have sailors' mouths on this show. So I'm going to tell a story. Sarah showed up to my retreat Flourish in Aspen 24 hours after we started. And we were mid-session. She sat down and we were all in a circle and we were about to close. And I asked if she'd like to teach everyone and guide everyone through an energy session, because this is what I had experienced before and I couldn't wait for everyone to experience whatever she was going to bring to the table. And we go through an exercise, and then she individually is going through each one of their participants to guide them. And one of my most incredibly favorite humans is sitting there. And I cannot even remember what it was that you were guiding her through, but she was saying that she couldn't hear anything. She wasn't tapping in. She wasn't getting anything. And the immediate reaction was, you're fucking lying to yourself. And that became the phrase of the entire retreat. And the reality is it's true. There is magic in that invocation in and of itself, because that is a mask. Not listening or not claiming you can hear anything is a mask. And are you willing to take it off? And a question you get to ask yourself when you don't hear anything is, are you fucking lying to yourself? Because you are. Yeah, and that was maybe one of the most brilliant things that I've heard anyone ever say. And everyone in that circle.
We need a coffee mug.
We do. I think we need to make them and start selling them, because
yes, I'm down.
It is, when you are sitting in your morning practice or afternoon practice or midnight practice or 3 a.m. practice, because whatever the time is that works for you to connect it and try to be in that place, ask yourself the deeper questions. So this actually brings me to, I think it'd be kind of fun to maybe go through a little exercise so that people can see some of the ways to tap in.
Yeah. Okay, we can do it.
Let's do it.
First of all, I want to preference with saying I really wanted to strengthen and go full out in this lifetime. So this was a declaration to myself. When I say that I was in the mirror and I looked at myself and I go, I feel like I don't know you because of the masks, because of being what everyone else wanted you to be, and I want to find you. That was me raising my hand to say my purpose is what I decide my purpose actually is. And I'm deciding that my purpose is being the energy queen and someone who can channel and play with guides and angels and go as big as far as I want to go in this lifetime. And so what I did was I would sit in a Starbucks and I would practice hearing conversations from every single table. And I put myself in the most crazy of situations to show myself that I was fucking lying to myself. Can you be the mother that has 2 kids running around and your husband on the phone? And can you still, in a moment before you're ready to sign up for a mentorship, in that moment, tune in and get a full-on answer for yourself? So in the exercise, I'm not going to take you full on into something like that, but I want you to acknowledge that you actually know how to do this. You wouldn't be listening to 2 powerhouse women be an example of what's actually possible if you didn't have that inside of you. So I just want to first thank everyone that decides and chooses to listen to this. Thank yourself for manifesting this conversation, because you did that. Don't thank us, thank yourself, because you were a vibrational match to this conversation. Okay. On that note, what we're going to do is we're going to create an invocation to feel our power. So what I want you to do is I want you to just say, I acknowledge.
I acknowledge.
Bringing my spirit into the room right now.
Bringing my spirit into the room right now.
And I acknowledge the information that she wants to share with me.
I acknowledge the information she wants to share with me.
Good, and let her speak. Good, and for some of you, your spirit wants to share with you that you're more powerful than you even know. Good, and Jamie, what did your spirit say?
I'm always here.
Good. So now what I want you to do is I want you to say, I acknowledge.
I acknowledge.
If I'm actually owning my power.
Owning my power.
And I acknowledge what the little girl inside of me has to say about that.
I acknowledge what the little girl inside of me has to say about that.
And I acknowledge how she feels.
And I acknowledge how she feels.
Good. And how does she feel?
Excited. Grateful.
And for some of you listening, your inner child is saying, I'm scared.
Mm-hmm.
And for some of you, your inner child is saying, you don't even know me. And that's okay. Now let's do a really fun one. I acknowledge
How it feels
to have an excellent relationship with the money spirit, regardless what anyone thinks or says. And I acknowledge how it feels to have an amazing relationship with the money spirit. Good. And how does it feel?
A little bit weighted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know this one for me is an area.
Yeah.
Got it this morning. So of course you brought this one up.
Well, let's just do an even more fun one. I acknowledge
how
it feels to have $3 million in my bank account. And I acknowledge how it feels to have access to that right now. Ooh. Doesn't that feel expansive?
Yeah.
My question for everyone is, could you go through those acknowledgement statements, and can you set a timer, especially around the money one, and hold and stay in that frequency for 5 minutes and 10 minutes and 30 minutes and 40 minutes? How long can you actually hold the frequency? Yay.
I love that so much because, I mean, for me, I'm just going to describe kind of what I got.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had this vision for years of this house on a beach.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I had it, I think John and I had just gotten married. I was not pregnant. And I'm sitting at this table. I was doing this work. So this was probably 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think I was like getting ready for women to come to the house, something along those lines, but sitting at this beautiful table with these beautiful open French doors. And I see John walk up with his surfboard and a little boy, Sandy here, probably like 4 or 5, maybe, like also with his little mini surfboard. And for those of you who don't know, I have a son now who's 2.5. I'm currently doing this recording from a house in Mexico. It is not on the beach yet, but I've had this like very strong feeling that house exists here, and that it's been in my field for that long. And that $3 million number like immediately triggered sitting at that house.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
And it's so incredible because then I'm like, granted, I've been playing with that vision for a long time, but that exercise with you just tells me, okay, that's the place I have to go to be in that frequency.
Yes.
That's the location and the energy and the feeling to really be in and hold for that 5 minutes, that 10 minutes, that 40 minutes to really access the wealth and wealth from the grander perspective, not just the money perspective, because money is just energy, right? We know this, we hear it, but until you start practicing these things, you don't really get it. The wealth overall, the feeling, the frequency, the level of love that exists at that level.
Yeah, so many people, I mean, this could be a whole nother podcast on manifestation, and my perspective of it is so many people are like, what would it feel like to have this experience? Well, what if you just acknowledge that you already had that experience? And what I'm doing is I'm connecting you to the hermit inside of you. In the tarot deck, when you pull the hermit card, it's one of the most magical cards in the deck. So your hermit, it's a whole nother topic, but your hermit will assist you in moving through energies so quickly and showing you that you already have those frequencies inside of you. So instead, when we acknowledge versus try to invoke it and try to feel it from where we are, but we acknowledge it, your hermit will take you straight through that frequency. That's why you felt it and you felt so expansive. It's because I took you right there, which is beautiful. Now just go hold it every day.
Yeah. And for listeners, I think one of the things that my own experience and what Sarah is showing you is that we have access to these. We have access to these experiences, and going to a place of the feeling that is invoked. We think we need to manifest based on things, but it's really that feeling that you get from the idea of that being your reality and tapping into that piece of it that helps to release these blocks that we think are blocks. They're not really. There's like intelligence in them that you get to access by doing these. I mean, how simple is that exercise? Like, you can come back to that recording and do this every day and access this beautiful place that helps you to integrate the part of yourself that actually exists in. And that really, I mean, your comment on the hermit and your internal hermit and all of this comes back full circle to the entire thing of being your own mentor, like being your own guru, being your own magical being with all of the wisdom that's inside of you. And if you're going to seek out mentorship, seek out the people that are going to guide you to your own wisdom.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yay. So good. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this won't be the last conversation. We're going to have so many more because there doesn't have to be a reason, really. But also, we have partnered up on the Flourish Mini Mind that got started out of my retreat in Aspen. But it's an opportunity for anyone who signs up for or goes to a retreat with Sarah Ashley, or goes to Flourish Aspen or Flourish Baja, which is going to be the next one happening in May. And if you decide to come, you will also have access not only to me, but as well to Sarah's beauty and magic and all of her incredible guidance. So if you sign up for any of our retreats, you do have the ability to join into the mini mind and start getting that support early. Of course, you have the ability to continue on afterwards with both of us. And there are so many other ways to actually experience the wisdom, the magic, just the presence of Sarah Ashley in your world. She has programs of her own retreats, and I mean, an incredible social media account that actually gives you so much incredible, valuable content. And on any given day, might have some incredible new opportunity to work with her because she comes up with the most amazing programs on the fly and makes them happen. So what are the best ways for people to continue on learning from you?
I would just say connect with me on Instagram at Sarah Ashley Wheeler, and just you're going to be guided to where you're guided. So I don't want to post a bunch of links and all of that. I want it to be a full-on experience where your spirit leads you, which is beautiful. So Facebook, Sarah Ashley Wheeler, or Instagram, Sarah Ashley Wheeler.
So perfect. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for an incredible conversation and guiding people to find their own light. So incredible. You are such a gift to this world.
Thank you.
I am Jamie O'Connor, and you are listening to the Inspired Focus podcast. If you haven't already, head over to Instagram and give us a follow at Inspired Focus Podcast. You can also subscribe to your favorite platform by checking us out at inspiredfocuspodcast.com. If you're interested in learning more about how you can work with me or getting information about the next retreat, which is Flourish Baja, you can get that information at inspiredfocus.co. We will be living it up in Mexico from May 21st to May 26th, and I would love for you to join me. Check that out at inspiredfocus.co. See you soon.